Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Administrator McCarthy, I believe that you desire to see the U.S. lead the world in environmental protection. Is that a fair statement?
Certainly, to the extent that Congress gives me that charge.
Are there other countries or regions of the world that are doing good things for the environment,
Sure.
such as Western Europe, the UK, or the Netherlands?
I'm sure that every country is doing the best they can, and some have very interesting programs that they've initiated.
So any of those in particular that...
Nothing that I want to highlight, no.
Okay. Secretary Vilsack sent a letter to the UK's Secretary of State for Energy and Climate Change in which he wrote, "The U.S. wood pellet industry increases our forested area, reduces greenhouse gas emissions, and improves U.S. forest management practice." He went on to state, "Demand for wood pellets also delivers compelling carbon and societal benefits to the United States. Independent analysis undertaken has consistently shown that demand for wood pellets promotes U.S. forest growth and reduces risk to U.S. forest." And without objection, I'm going to submit this letter for the record. Given this stated position of the Secretary of Agriculture, how will EPA take into account these comments and the scientific analysis on which it is based?
We are in the middle of looking at different types of biomass for its use and how we can account for the greenhouse gas benefits. We are in a science process with our Science Advisory Board to develop an appropriate accounting process for that. So we're excited to be able to make progress in that because we do believe that there are many types of biomass that really will provide us an opportunity to move forward.
So do you disagree with the Secretary's position that what he stated about wood pellets and the use of biomass and wood pellets? Is there still science to be determined on that, or is the science that he based his analysis on correct?
I'm happy to talk to him and see what is the basis of his letter. I don't think that we're in disagreement. I think he knows that we're in a process to try to better account for those emissions. Okay,
and I was jotting down a few of the things you were saying earlier about people are expecting us to take reasonable actions, that you're following the science. I hope that you would continue to do that. You've also said that switching gears a little bit, the Gold King mine is a disaster. Said you're doing your best to hold people accountable. I want to talk a little bit about the Gold King mine spill that took place last August.
Okay.
Given the gravity of the situation, is it fair to say that you took that spill very seriously?
Yes.
Okay, and you've conducted your own internal EPA investigation?
We have, for the most part, relied on independent investigations by both internally with our Office of Inspector General as well as externally.
So what EPA employees did you find to be responsible for the Gold King mine spill?
We did not find that anyone was derelict in their duties, but we continue to have investigations, and we're going to wait to see what they say.
So you didn't find anybody to be at fault in this mine spill?
So far, the reports that I have read that were independent continue to show that we were there working with the state in those communities to try to prevent a tragedy. That preliminary site work did cause a problem there, and we've done our best to try to make sure that we take responsibility for that and work with those states and communities and tribes to resolve this.
So giving your commitment and expertise on the issue, who was the EPA on-site coordinator the day of the Gold King mine spill?
I can't recall his name, I'm sorry.
I believe his name is Mr. Griswold, Hayes Griswold.
Yeah, that was it. Sure, thank you.
So is Mr. Griswold responsible for the Gold King mine spill?
I think the actions of EPA certainly caused the spill. It depends on what you think of responsible. If that indicates that he did something wrong, I'm certainly not willing to say that.
So is he to blame for the Gold King mine spill?
Well, I think what's to blame is a history of those mines being left and abandoned where we knew there was a problem and EPA came in to try to help fix it. Did we fix it?
So
No.
who's to blame for the spill?
Well, I think the spill happened. The spill happened because we were doing preliminary
Because
site work to try to resolve.
somebody failed in their execution of the project. Has Mr. Griswold been reprimanded or received training or a suspension for his role as on-scene or on-site coordinator?
I do not believe so.
As head of the EPA, do you take responsibility for the spill?
I take responsibility for the agency's role. Certainly I do.
So you take responsibility of the agency's role, which was to be the on-scene coordinator. So I'm trying to connect the dots.
We have many responsibilities here, and we have a responsibility not just to explain ourselves, why we're there, what we were doing, what we thought contributed to the problem. We have a responsibility to look at how we long-term monitor that situation. We have a responsibility to look at whether or not we can help affect a solution, which will be hopefully looking at whether or not it's appropriate for listing as a Superfund site. We have responsibilities to take a look at whether our notification was good and how to make it better.
Do you have a responsibility to hold somebody accountable?
If somebody did something that was incorrect, inappropriate,
That was last August. Has anybody been held accountable for the spill?
We are all held accountable for the spill.
Has anyone been reprimanded or faced any consequences for their role in it?
Not that I'm aware of.
I've exceeded my time, Mr. Chairman. I'll give your seat back.